Hello everyone, in this video we're going to talk about the problems from Code Drift Day 1 and the topics are DP and Greedy. So let's get started. The first problem is turn on the bulbs. Now let's give it a read. There are A bulbs lined in a row numbered 1 to A which are off initially. In one step, you can choose any bulb and turn it on. If you turn a particular bulb on, the bulb 2 places to the right and 2 places to the left of this bulb would also turn on. Bulbs that are already on will not be affected. Formally, if you turn on the bulb numbered X, it will also turn on the bulb numbered X minus 2 if it exists and bulb number X plus 2 if it exists. Okay. Find the minimum number of steps required to turn on all the bulbs. And the problem constraints on A are A can vary from 1 to 10 raised to power 9. Now with all this information, let's move on to solve some examples first. Now let us talk about these two examples. We are given A as 2, so we are given 2 bulbs, right? In case of 2 bulbs, let's say I turned on this bulb, then I can turn on a bulb which is at position, let's say this is at position 1, then I can turn a bulb which is at position 1 minus 2, or that is minus 1, but negative 1 is not a valid index in this case, right? Similarly, I can turn on a bulb which is at position 3, 1 plus 2, 3. Again, we don't have any bulb at third index, so I can just turn on this bulb. Then after that, I need to turn on another bulb which is at second position. So for A equal to 2, our answer will be 2. Now let us talk about A equal to 4. We'll have 4 bulbs and we can solve it in this way. We can turn on this bulb and we can turn on this bulb in one operation, and we can turn on this bulb and we can turn on this bulb in one operation. So we'll have 2 operations here as well. So for A equal to 4, we need to return 2 as well. Okay. Now let us move on to see the solution to this problem. Now in order to solve this problem, we need to make some observations. Let's say we have certain amount of bulbs here. If I try to turn on this bulb, then I will also turn on this bulb and this bulb, right? Similarly, if I try to turn this bulb on, then I can turn this bulb on and this bulb on, right? So here we can clearly see that if we have 6 bulbs, we need exactly 2 operations to turn all of them on, right? So we can make batch of 6 bulbs and we can turn them on using 2 operations. Okay. So our solution will be, let's say we are given some A, then we'll try to make batches of 6. Okay. We'll try to make batches of 6 and we'll try to turn them on in 2 operations. After that, we'll have some remaining bulbs. So what can be the number of remaining bulbs? Remaining bulbs can be 0, can be 1, can be 2, can be 3, can be 4, it can be 5, right? So these are all the values. We cannot have 6 remaining bulbs. Why? Because we can again make a batch of 6. Okay. So these are all the possible values we can have after we have made all the batches of 6. Now let's try to solve these examples on pen and paper. Now we can solve the problem for these values quite easily. So let's do that now. Let's say what will happen if our A is 0. Then if we don't have any bulb remaining, then we have 0 here. If we have one bulb, then obviously I need one operation. If I have 2 bulbs, I have already discussed this, then again I'll need 2 operations here. So I'll have 2 here. If I have 3 bulbs, let's say these are our 3 bulbs, then I'll again need 2 operations here. Why so? Because if I'll turn this bulb on, then I need to turn this one as well. Then I need one more operation to turn this middle bulb on, right? So I'll need 2 operations here as well. In case of 4, let's talk about 4 now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll turn this bulb on and this bulb on. I'll turn this bulb on and this bulb on. So I'll need 2 operations here as well. Similarly, let us talk about 5 now. For 5, I'll have 5 bulbs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's say I turn this bulb on, then I need to turn this one and this one. And after that, I need one more operation to turn these 2 bulbs on, right? So again, in case of 5, I need 2 operations. So here we can see that now I have list of all the values I need to return in case of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that we have all the values that we need, now let us try to write a formula for this. So let's say we are given some A, then first I need to create all the batches of 6. Okay, so how many batches of 6 I can create out of A elements? So that will be A by 6 and this will be an integer division, right? For all these batches of 6, I can make 2 operations per batch. So I can multiply this with 2. Okay. After that, I'll have some of the elements left. Right? So in order to know the rest of the elements, I can just do a modulo 6. Okay. And the value of a modulo 6 can vary from 0 to 5, and we can take those values from this table. Either we can store all these values in an array, or we can make one observation. For 0 it is 0, for 1 it is 1, and apart from that, for any other value which is greater than 1 it is just 2, right? So what we can do here, we can return minimum of a mod 6 comma 2. Why so? Because if a mod 6 is 0, we need to return 0. If a mod 6 is 1, we need to return 1. And otherwise, whatever value we have here, a mod 6 can be 2, 3, 4, 5, then we need to return 2. Okay, so we just do minimum of a mod 6 comma 2. So this formula here is our final answer. Now let's move on to see the pseudocode of this problem. Now let us talk about the pseudocode, which is quite straightforward. Basically, we are creating the batches of 6, then we are multiplying it by 2, because a batch of 6 needs 2 operations. Then after that, we are returning minimum of a mod 6 comma 2. The second problem is yet another string operation problem. The problem description states that you are given 2 strings a and b of same length. In one operation, you can set some ax equal to bx. This will cost you 1 coin. Otherwise, you can also reverse a substring a from I to j at most once. Okay, so you can choose to reverse some substring of a given string, and you can do this operation at most one. Okay, so you can either do it or not do it, and this will cost us c coins. Now we need to find minimum operation required to make both string equal. Okay, the problem constraints are length of a and b are equal, and they can vary from 1 to 1000. A and b consist of lowercase alphabets only, and cos c can vary from 0 to length of a. Now let us move on to see some examples. Let us talk about these examples now. We need to convert this string to this string. So a b c e d a to b d e c b o. Here we can see that if I reverse this much of string, I'll just get this string. Okay, so I'm going to reverse it, and the cost of reversing a string is 1. Okay, so I'll add 1 to the answer, and I'll just reverse it. Now it will look like D E C B. Okay, so now the characters which remain unmatched are A and A. We need to convert this A to B, which will take again 1 operation, and we need to convert this A to O, which will again take 1 operation. For this example, our answer will be 3. Now if I talk about second example, I have 2 strings here again, and we can see that only the first character is different in both the strings, so I just need 1 operation here. Okay, so in this case our answer is 1. Okay, now let us move on to see the solution to this problem. So basically we can see here that we need to convert this string to this string, right? The solution here is based on dynamic programming, so we can define states here. The states we can have are L, R, rotate. Here L will be the starting point of the string, R will be the ending point of the string, and rotate can take 2 values, 0 or 1. It will be 0 if we have not used the rotate operation right now, and it will be 1 if we have already used the rotate operation. Now currently my L will be here and my R will be here. Then what I can do, and let's say the index are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then my recursion will look like go from 1 to 6. I need to solve from 1 to 6, and currently our string is not rotated. Okay, so from this string I can come to this state, go 2 to 6 and not rotated. And how can I transition to this state? What I can do, I can check whether this character matches with our first character of string B, and if they match, then I'll add 0 to the answer, otherwise I'll add 1 to the answer. Okay, and then I'll recur for this relation. Apart from this, I can also check the last character of our current string with the last character of our string B, and if they are equal, then I'll add 0 to the answer, otherwise I'll add 1 to the answer, and I can recur for 1 comma 6 minus 1, that is 5 comma 0. Okay, we haven't rotated it. Now there's one more operation that I can do, that is I can reverse the whole string. in that case it will cost me C units, so I'll add C to the answer, plus I'll recur for the same string from 1 to 6, but this time it is in rotated form. So in the similar fashion, I can transition from one position to another position. Let's say I want to transition from this position, then I'll go to 2 plus 1 3, comma 6, comma 0, and I can also go to 2, comma 6 minus 1 5, comma 0. Okay, and apart from that, since it is 0, we can rotate it, right? If it is 1, then I'll cover that case, but if it's 0, I can just try to rotate it here, 2 comma 6 comma 1, and then after that we can rotate it, we can add C here, right? So that's how we can transition. But there is one special case, and that is what will happen after we have rotated the string. Okay, so let's cover that now. Let's say I'm using my rotate operation, then I'll add C to the answer, and I'll transition from 1 6 to 1 6 only, but this time I've rotated my string. Okay, now from this state, as we know that our string is rotated now, that means the substring from 1 to 6 is rotated. Okay, so whatever we have at first position, it should be in the last position in case of second string or string B. Similarly, whatever we have in the last position will be in the first position of string B, right? So from this place, our transition will be, if our first character is not equal to the last character, we'll add 1, and similarly, if our last character of string A is not equal to the first character of string B, I'll again add +1, and then I'll transition to 1 plus 1 2, 6 minus 1 5, comma 1. Okay, so that is the only transition that I can make. And if I try to write it properly, it will look like this: AL, if AL is not equal to BR, plus if AL is not equal to BR, this condition will be 1, and that will add 1 to the answer. Similarly, if AR is not equal to BL, or that is the last character of string A is not equal to the first character of string B, then again add 1 to the answer, plus go 2 comma 5 comma 1, right? So that's how we can solve this problem. Now that we have covered all the cases, let's try to generalize it. Now let's say our recursion looks like this: go from L to R, and this is root. Then we have two cases here. If ROT it's equal to 1, then we can perform only one transition, and that is we can return go from L plus 1 to R minus 1 with rotation intact, plus we'll try to compare the first character of our current string with the last character of our string that we need to convert it into. Similarly, we'll compare the last character of our first string with first character of the string B, right? So that's how we are going to solve it if we have already rotated the string. Otherwise, we'll have three cases. We can do go L plus 1 to R with 0, plus we'll compare the first character with the first character of string B, right? And I can do the same for last character as well. So what I'll do there, R minus 1 comma 0, plus I'll compare the last character of our string A with last character of our string B. And apart from these two, I can always reverse my string. So in that case, I'll just do go L to R, but this time I'll pass 1 here because I have already reversed my string. Okay, in this case I need to add C. So I can return the minimum of these three. We can return this. Apart from these things, we need to handle some base cases, like what will happen if L is greater than R, or if L equal to R. And in this fashion we can solve this problem quite easily. After this, all we need to do is memorize the solution, and that will pass the time limits. Now let us talk about the pseudocode to this problem. So basically we are given two strings A and B and an integer C. Then I have this go function here which has three parameters L, R and rotated. So rotated here signifies whether we have reversed the string or not, and then LR signifies the same thing. L represents the first character, R represents the last character of the current substring we are watching. Okay, if L is greater than R, then it is an invalid interval, we need to return 0. Otherwise, if L equal to R, then we are going to return whether the current character of string A is equal to current character of B. If they are equal, then we need to return 0, otherwise we need to return 1. Okay, so this condition, just do that. After that, we have discussed this part here. If rotated is true, we can do just one transition, and that is, we'll check the first character of our string with the last character of string B, and the last character of our string with the first character of string B, and then after that, I'll do the transition to L plus 1 and R minus 1 with 1, right? Otherwise, I'll have three conditions. I can go to L plus 1, or I can go to R minus 1, or I can go to LR but with rotation as 1. Okay, you can see that here rotation is 0. That means that currently we haven't reversed our string, but here we are trying to reverse it, and since we are trying to reverse it, we are adding C to the answer. Okay, so after that, I'm just returning the minimized answer that I'm getting out of all these conditions. And at this part, we are basically memorizing the solution. We are just trying to store this solution in this DP state, right? And at the end, I'm calling this function go, and it is returning me the optimal answer. So that's how we are solving this problem quite easily. So that's pretty much it for this video. Please like the video if you enjoyed the content. Do subscribe. Thank you for watching.